So NBA 2k23 has had so many completely broken cards. Like cards that you basically just couldn't guard in-game. You try to guard them, nothing was happening. They were just completely unguardable. And we're going to be looking at the most broken cards from day one all the way up to the present day and deciding who's the most broken card this year. Because I know that we've got endgames now, but once we get endgames, every card can do everything. Every card can guard anyone. No one's really that broken in endgame because everybody's broken. If everybody's broken, nobody's broken. So anyway, let's go back to day one. People like Curry, people like Levine, but it was the trophy case. And as someone who got Derrick Rose at the start, I made a bad choice, lads. I made a real bad choice going for Derrick Rose because there was one guy that at that point guard position could not be stopped, and it was Westbrook. Westbrook just ran by everybody and dunked. And he was a competent shooter. He was at least equally as good as Rose, if not slightly better shooter than Rose. But his animations, the bully badge that he had on gold, it was able to just dunk on everybody. No one was able to stop Russell Westbrook in the game at the start. He was basically unguardable. He was run by you and dunk every single possession. There was nothing you could do about it. Like, I used to hate playing against them. The good thing was that most people like me picked Derrick Rose because they wanted to go for Jimmy Butler. Because Jimmy was way better than Clyde. I do want to say that. Jimmy was way better than Clyde. So, a lot of people went for Rose, but I'll tell you, it was Russ's world. The start of the game was Russ's world. But there was another trophy case I think was an even better card, and it was James Worthy. The only thing is that he wasn't broken unless you did the drop step bully mechanic. So you used to be able to drop step, and bully would literally trigger an animation that you would elbow your opponent. You would drop step, and while you were drop stepping, you would elbow your opponent in the face. And you basically scored every single time with Hall of Fame bully. If you knew what you were doing in Season 1, you guys are seeing clips here from Larry Johnson, who wasn't even half the player. Wasn't even half the player that Worthy was. But Larry Johnson was unguardable because he just elbowed people in the face every possession. But yeah, I'm telling you guys, that Worthy was absolutely elite. And you could argue that they were the best players in their respective positions all the way up until November 4th, where we got two just really OP cards, but you need to know how to use them. These guys, I'm not going to call them broken, but I have to at least give them a mention, because they were more skill-based cards, and one is Tim Thomas. Tim Thomas was the best player in the game. He had Stevie size up, a great release, good stats, 6'10" small forward. The issue with Tim Thomas was that if you want to just use Tim Thomas as a cone, put him in the corner and just shoot the ball, which a lot of people did. Most Tim Thomas I played just used him as a cone. He was just an average player. He was just another guy. But if you wanted to use Tim Thomas as your primary, he was the best. He was the best primary ball handler in the game at that stage, and it wasn't even close, to be honest. He was just an insanely good shot creator, lads. He was so good at what he did. And a week later, we got an even better shot creator, but he wasn't kind of as good as everyone at everything else as Tim Thomas, and it was Ricky Davis. Ricky Davis was like 200 KMT. He then, the following season, I'm pretty sure, he was like a 100 win reward in TT Offline, maybe? Or maybe that was even in Season 4. But basically, they gave him Oscar Robertson upper, and he was just the best. The prophecy was fulfilled. Like, Ricky Davis said that LeBron James was only coming to Cleveland to get him more shots. And in 2K, LeBron James isn't a great offensive player. And there was a stage where people used LeBron for defense, and Ricky Davis was there as their shot chucker. Yeah, the prophecy was fulfilled. LeBron was only there to get Ricky Davis more looks, to be honest. But I'm not going to say those guys are in the most overpowered conversation. But there's one guy that came out around Christmas. And I think that this guy might have gone down as the most broken player in the game. I think had we known about this guy at this time, he not only goes down as the most broken player in this game, but also Yao doesn't happen. That 80 speed Yao doesn't happen. And it's Taco Fall Amethyst. If you guys don't know, Taco Fall Amethyst sat on the end of the bench for me in May. In May. At the start of May, I had Taco at the end of my bench. That is how broken Taco Fall was in this game. But nobody knew about it. We didn't know in December. People were still running their Opal 80s. People were still listening to the Debo fella talk about how much speed mattered. Speed didn't matter when you could get 2 points on every single possession with Taco Fall, bar none. There was nobody in the game that could guard him at that stage. We just didn't know. We didn't know how OP he was going to be. And I'm glad, to be fair. And I'm kind of not glad in a way, because if we had known how broken he was with his 45 speed, I don't think 80 speed Yao is a thing. I think 65 speed Yao is a thing. I don't think that 80 speed Yao comes into the game. But we all realized how OP Taco was, because Taco was the only counter to our 80 speed Yao. When 2K brought out that Yao, it was GG's. If you didn't have that Yao, you had to run Taco. If you didn't run Taco, you were scored on every single possession. And Taco had his negatives. Slow on his feet. Couldn't really guard the pick and roll, but Yao could guard everybody. Yao could guard point guards. He could guard centers. He had 80 speed, felt like 90 speed. He could dribble the ball. He dribbled the ball better than point guards at that stage. That was when point guards were still getting bad dribble styles. Nope, he's out there with pro dribble style. He's out there dribbling the ball better than point guards. You could ISO with Yao Ming. You could run the floor with Yao Ming. You could freaking dribble glitch behind the backs with Yao Ming. Yao Ming was broken. He was the definition of a broken card in my team. And this Yao Ming came out in January. He came out in January, lads. Like, how were we meant to deal with him? And the crazy part is that Yao Ming was the best center in the game until the next Yao Ming came out, which was May. But Yao Ming came out the same day as 2 Yao Mings and Manute Bol. So he went from 1 to 4. And lads, as crazy as this sounds, he went from number 1 to the number 4 best center in the game that day. He is still the number 4 best center in the game. The best center is going Manute, Yao, Yao, Yao. He is still literally better than any center not named Yao or Manute. It is that crazy. But then 2 months later was Taco. Taco played power forward and was basically as OP as Yao. Like, Yao's player build isn't near the best. Like, Taco, Mira-san, Manute Bol, like, those player builds are way better than Yao Ming's. Even Boban's player build's better than Yao. But the thing is, Taco could play power forward. Taco could shoot the ball. While Yao and Taco both have low jump shot ratings, they both could really shoot the ball. And the crazy thing is that you can now run Taco with Yao. You could run Taco full with Yao Ming to just basically make an unguardable 4-5 combo. Pretty much unguardable for anybody, lads. Absolutely ridiculous combination. And I'm telling you, it is so hard to deal with guys like that. They were just too good in combination with each other. They were just way too good in combination, and you couldn't stop it. And there's somebody in between that you thought I would mention, and it's T-Mac. And no, like, you cannot argue. T-Mac was great and all. T-Mac still, like, I'm gonna buy Radiant T-Mac because he's a buyout. I still have him as my number 2 guard in the game behind Kevin Durant. It is what it is. But, like, there's a difference between a card being really good. You still got to time T-Mac's release. Still got to know how to use Curry Escape. There's a difference between a card being the best and the most broken. And my God, no, he was not as broken as Taco Fall. But now, currently, the most broken card in the game is, obviously, we do have, like, Hero Yao and stuff. But it's Manute Bol. 7'7". Manute Bol is a 7'7" power forward who plays the best defense in the game. Is unguardable inside and can shoot. And is way faster than Taco. The one thing I will say is if Manute matches up to Taco, it's even. Like, Manute's not going to kill Taco. Just like Taco's not going to kill Manute. It kind of evens out. So that's one of the things, is that as broken as Manute is, when he matches up to Taco, like, Manute's better, but it's not like he can abuse Taco. And it was the same with, in fairness, it was the same with Yao Ming. No, I was about to say once Mark Eaton came out, no. But Manute, pretty much unstoppable. Unless you literally have Taco in your team. Or you're running with Manute with Shaq. Or you're running even Manute at center. Or you're running Manute at center and you've got like a Yao to match up with him. Manute is just broken. He is the most broken. He might be the most broken player at the end of the year. If they don't come out with an endgame Manute or Taco, which they might not, you know, he'll be more broken than an endgame Yao because of player builds. It just is what it is. But yeah, who the most broken player is this year? I think there's only one. There's only one. I think there's only one in the debate. Like, You could say Taco, but let's not forget Taco came out 2 months after Yao. Yao Ming is a card from January who's still a top 5 player at his position in the game. Who's still a top 10 card in the game. You can argue top 5 card in the game. He came out before Taco. Sure, he was more expensive and he was harder to come by, but I'm not saying who the most overpowered player was. I'm just talking about purely who the most broken player was, and the most broken player in all of my team, without question this year, was Yao Ming.